Shabbat Shalom,
Okay, we
everyone.
could try that.
Do you know how nice it is
Sorry?
to have a response when I say Shabbat Shalom?
Let me do it.
It's a real pleasure to have you all here tonight, and welcome to our YouTube viewers as well. The virtual flowers tonight have been donated by Ted Singer in honor of the 5th anniversary of his proposal to Noel. And if that isn't an awe moment, I don't know what is. The Grab and Go Owning tonight is sponsored by the children of Miriam Brookfield in honor of her 96th birthday. Happy birthday, Miriam. We're really delighted to see you here tonight along with your family. Last week, we inadvertently overlooked acknowledging that the Grab and Go Onig was sponsored by Sandy and David Scharf in honor of their 37th anniversary. So our apologies and thank you again, Scharfs. I'd like to remind you, please, to remain masked and no singing. You can mouth the words and say them, but please do not sing. Also, please, when the service is over, wait in your seats until you're dismissed. You will be dismissed row by row. Exit through the door behind Ray. Thank you, Vanna. And please go directly to your cars. Be sure to grab the Grab and Go Onig bags on your way out. Please, I'd like to remind you that on Monday the 21st, we will have a general meeting via Zoom to elect our slate of officers at the Board of Directors for the 2021-22 year. Also, I've been asked by Leslie, here you go, Leslie, to remind you that the fireworks booth is coming up, our biggest fundraiser of the year. Also, La Mirada is not having fireworks this year, so this gives us another wonderful opportunity to hopefully sell out again. Also, we have another fundraiser coming up, the flyers in the Beacon, Honey for the Heart fundraiser, which you can order honey. We get a portion of the amount and send it to anyone you'd like for Rosh Hashanah. As always, many, many thanks to our staff, Rabbi Mark Goldfarb, Cantor Jaffe, and our accompanist, Dr. Ray Irwin, and of course our techies tonight, Phil Carey, David Youngman, and Arjun Ramesh. Thank you all, and Shabbat Shalom, and welcome.
Thank you, Leslie. And yes, it is wonderful to actually have faces to see and responses. I'm sorry, Dina. Who did I say? Leslie. Yeah, I'm sorry. Brain is on Shabbat already. I also want to acknowledge and thank members of our religious committee, Eli Ursus and Joe Tejas, for helping prepare our Oneg to-go bags. Thank you guys very much. There's lovely cookies in there, some sweets. And Harry Jacobs. As well. In addition, we have hopefully worked out some of the technical glitches for our YouTube audience, and we will actually be having slides available now for our YouTube audience so that they can keep up with us as we worship from our prayer books, and then eventually we'll be able to actually stream some live slides here in the sanctuary as well. In addition to our flowers and the oneg that you heard about, we also have our Shabbat Greetings from Ted and Noel Singer and Rita and Bob Rubin. Rita is here with us. Rita, thank you very, very much for your continued support. She's here with her daughter Sue. And Ted and Noel, we are grateful for your continued support of our congregation as well. And we have a very special shout out, a Shabbat shout out to Leslie Berger in honor of a very special birthday. That's all the information I got, Leslie. It's a shout out for a very special birthday. And as I told Peggy earlier, I'm not one to discuss a woman's age, so there you go. 68. All right, she's announced it, 68, everyone, so there you go. And of course, the virtual flowers, which our YouTube audience our YouTube congregation is able to see, as you heard, in honor of the 5th anniversary of Ted's proposal to his beautiful bride, Noel. What a touching thing. And Miriam, for you, we're grateful to be able to have you with us because I can present this to you. We have for you our truly world-famous birthday certificate in honor of your birthday, and thank you very much for the oneg you have sponsored. I would invite you to rise as you are able. Are you able to stand? We want to do a little singing, and we also want to have a chance to share the words of our certificate to you. It says, Yom Huledet Sameach, which of course is Hebrew for happy birthday. God of days and years, author of life, we thank you for the blessings of life and for all that enriches our lives. We gather today to share in the happiness of Miriam Brookfield in celebration of her birthday. It's 96, everyone, so kudos to you. May Miriam be blessed with health and happiness and with the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. With your presence at her side, may Miriam be blessed to see her world in her lifetime. May Miriam's heart act wisely, her lips speak wisdom, and her tongue whisper songs. May her vision always be toward the future, her eyes shine with the light of Torah, and her face glow like the splendor of the heavens. May Miriam be blessed with wholeness, contentment, peace, and above all, shalom. Signed this 25th day of Sivan, the 4th day of June, by myself, our Cantor, and our president. Miriam, I'll present this to you at the end of our service, but we're going to join together in the singing of Siman Tov U'Mazel Tov, an opportunity for us to acknowledge your birthday, Miriam. Thank you, and if you need to be seated, please, by all means, do so, while we sing to you Mazel Tov and Siman Tov.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov. Yehelanu, 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 Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. David Melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam. David Melech Yisrael, Chai v'kayam.
Our service continues on page 8 in our prayer books. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and certainly no services. But I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner purpose, my inner strength, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make all of our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created, and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us, and to bring that vision to life. We welcome this Shabbat on page 11 with the words, a Baghdad melody, actually. Yes, a Baghdad. We don't hear many good things out of Baghdad. This is one of the good things that came out of Baghdad, albeit a long time ago. Ki Eshmara Shabbat. When I keep Shabbat, Shabbat keeps me. It is a sign forever between me and God.
Yishmer HaShabbat, Yishmereni. Yishmer HaShabbat, Yishmereni. Oti le'olamei ad beino veni. Oti le'olamei ad beino veni. Ki yishmer HaShabbat, yishmereni. Ki yishmer HaShabbat, yishmereni.
We are, still getting used to being back together again, and which is great and wonderful. But I'm wondering, Dina, if I might impose upon you to help us light our Shabbat candles this evening. We will work to set this up in a more regular fashion, especially as we hopefully have a chance to open our doors even more with the state. I invite us to turn back to page 3. And at the bottom of the page, O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and into our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Yeah, it's a bit windy up here.
I was going to sing Ruach Elohim, but
Merachefet al ha-candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of all being, who calls us to holy acts through mitzvot, and inspires us to kindle these lights of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Our service continues on page 27. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. We continue with the words of our Baruch Hu on page 28, our call to worship. I invite us to rise as we are able.
Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie.
We continue on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim uvitvanam asher yitim umachalif et hazmanim Umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We continue on page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words which I command thee on this day shall be upon your heart, shall be upon thy heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and when thou risest up. Thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that we may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
We may be seated. Our service continues on page 39. In a world still torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and your love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered, and at Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings may be many, and our faults indeed may be great, it has nevertheless been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision, a vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for that day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we sing and rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea this song.
מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף פלא, נורא תהילות, אוסף פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה, תהילינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. לי 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 לי
Our service continues on page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
Bam bam bam, Shabbat Shabbat, yam bam 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 bam, Shabbat Shabbat, yam bam 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 bam, Shabbat Shabbat, Shabbat Shabbat, Shabbat Shabbat. ישמחו ומלכותך, ישמחו ומלכותך, שומרי שבת, בקורי עונג שבת, שומרי שבת, בקורי עונג שבת. המקדשי שבי, שבת, המקדשי בי, שבת, כולם יספעו ויתענגו, ניתנו לך שבת. ישמחו ומלכותך, ישמחו ומלכותך, שומרי שבת, בקורי עונג שבת, שומרי שבת, בקורי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו שבת, רצית בו וקידשתו שבת. עמדת ימים אותו קראת, זכר מעשה בראשית, שבת. ישמחו ומלכותך, ישמחו ומלכותך, שומרי שבת, בקורי עונג שבת, שומרי שבת, בקורי עונג שבת.
The Korei Oneg, Call It a Delight.
Yeah.
And what a delightful tune.
Thank you, Cantor Zim.
Our service continues on page 45. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. The Sabbath arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day. In a moment, we will continue with the words of our tefillah, the Amida portion of our worship service. But let us let these words on page 46 and this melody bring us into the time of prayer. Sit for a moment, close your eyes if you would like to, and let us merge into slowly this time of reflection, this time of introspection, and this time of letting the words of our prayer challenge us to be more than what we were. With these words, we welcome this opportunity, this time of being with the words of our prayers. I invite us to rise as we are able, as we continue with the words of our tefillah. On page 48.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ava, Melech Ozer Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Vezrat Sarah. Hagibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol ata, Rab leHoshia, Morid hatal. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei HaKol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'emanat al chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom ya'alalu chasela. Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
We may be seated. Our service continues on page 53. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. O God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. We continue on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Our service continues on page 61. It has been an ancient and ageless hope of our people that there would be times of peace. Indeed, our prophets visioned a time when implements of war and destruction would be turned into implements of healing and construction. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev. Below Yilmadu od milchama, a time when nation will not lift up sword against nation. And never again would they ever have to know, experience, train for, or send their sons and daughters out to war. We read, nation shall not take up sword against nation. Don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first.
Shalom Rabbi Israel Amecha Asim Leolam Shalom Rabbi Israel Amecha Asim Leolam Yatahu Melech Adon Lechol Hashalom Hashalom Etov Reinecha Levarech et Amecha Levarech et Amecha Yisrael Shalom Ra Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam Shalom Ra Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. החלום רב ישראל עמך, אשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
Just as we pray for peace for our world, shalom, wholeness and contentment, so too do we want to include those whose sense of shalom, of wholeness and contentment, has been disturbed, perhaps even shattered by the challenges that they are facing. In a moment, our Cantor will lead us in our Misha Berach blessing, during which time you will have the opportunity to share aloud the name of a loved one, so that we might bring them here into this space, into our hearts at this time. May all who are facing challenges to their health and their well-being be blessed on their journey, a journey that will hopefully bring them to a refuah shlema, a return to the wholeness that they seek, the shalom that they desire. Baruch atah Adonai rofei hacholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those who are in need. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. שברך אבותינו ואימותינו, אברהם ושרה, משה, אהרון ומרים, הוא יברך ירפא את החולים.
Please share aloud the name of a loved one.
Hanalea bat Kayasora. Heal them and bless them with strength and spirit, with laughter and life, with courage and grace. Akadosh Baruch Hu, restore them like streams in the desert. Heal them with body and spirit. Strengthen them with patience and guard them with compassion. Renew their vision and bless them with peace. Yirfuat ha-nefesh v'refat ha-guf v'nomar Amen.
A Cherokee elder was once sitting with his grandson. He commented to his grandson and said, "There are two wolves that seem to be fighting in me all the time. The angry wolf is always out for violence and blood, howling in anger, chasing after things. The wolf of love just wants to curl up with its pups. It wants to sing at the moon, wants to run through the fields." The grandson was a little taken aback and said, "Grandfather, which wolf will win?" The grandfather thought for a moment, looked at his grandson and said, "The one that I feed." We take a moment of silent meditation. an opportunity to reflect and to consider which wolves we are feeding. So we pause.
Imre region libi lefanecha Adonai Uri vekowali Adonai Tzuri vekowali
Cantor, it's great to have you back. Welcome
you.
back. Dr. Ray, glad to have you back as well. Hope you had a good Friday night off last week and
Did. Very much.
enjoyed the time.
Yes, thank you.
To our technical trio again, David Youngman, Philip Carey, and Arjun Ramesh, thank you all very much for streaming our services out to our YouTube audience, and to all of you who are here with us this evening. Thank you for making reservations and for being a part of us. To Miriam and your family, your daughter who's with you, and friends who have joined you as well, Mazel Tov, happy birthday. I will present you with their certificate at the end. Services, you can frame it proudly, hopefully. To all who have helped enabled us to get in, those who were checking people in, Karen Youngman, to Ellis and Gail Porter, thank you all very much for guiding people into the appropriate places. And to follow up with our president's announcement, please wait to be dismissed. At the end, we will share a kiddush over the wine that we have, the juice that you have in your Shabbat to-go bags. And then I guess it's Gail or Ellis, one of you will be dismissing people by rows. I'm a big lover of mysteries. I still remember discovering the Hardy Boys when I was in third grade, reading the collection of hardback books that belonged to my uncle, at the time my mother's brother, when I was spending summer with my grandparents, discovering the Hardy Boys. Though I was supposed to be in bed with a flashlight under the covers, I read until the wee hours of the morning. I think once even falling asleep with the flashlight on and the books, and discovering that the batteries were now dead in the flashlight in the morning. And since then, it's been Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and so many others have been part of my reading for pleasure, which I don't seem to have a whole lot of time to be able to do yet. So I keep looking forward to that time when I can get back to just reading for pleasure. My grandmother was also a big fan of mysteries, although she kind of had a weird way of reading her mystery novels. At first I thought maybe it was a little confusion between Hebrew opening and English opening in the book. Hebrew is a language that goes from right to left, and so the books appear to open at the end of the book. But that was always where my grandmother started. The last couple of chapters of the mystery book is where she started reading the mystery, and I didn't realize this at first because I thought she was done once when I was observing her reading, and she finished, and I said, "So, did you figure it out?" And she said, "Well, yes, and now I have to read it from the beginning." Grandmother, why would you start reading a mystery book at the end? Because that way, it's not as traumatic for me. It's not as terrifying for me when I know that the person who did it is going to get caught. And when I know who the person is, when I encounter them in the book, I go, wait, just wait, you're going to get yours. Well, that was a rather interesting way to read mysteries, but it certainly seemed to my young mind at the time to be sort of circumventing the purpose of reading the mystery. Once you've read the last couple of chapters, why do you need to start reading it over from the beginning? You know who does it. You know who did it. You know that they got caught. Why bother? But that was my grandmother. That's the way she read mysteries. And when it comes right down to it, I guess we humans would love to be able to flip ahead a couple of pages, maybe a chapter or two in the book of life. We'd like to be able to know how things are going to be able to turn out so that we might be able to face the uncertainties of the moment with a little more strength and courage and hopefully optimism. We certainly encounter that in this week's Torah portion. Moses and the children of Israel are on the outskirts of what would become the land of Israel, but not sure of what lay ahead for them. They decide to send spies out to scope out the land. Go travel the land. One representative from each of the tribes, 12 of them. We know there's a 13th tribe, the tribe of Dinah, but unfortunately she's not included in the Torah counting. So 12 spies go out to reconnoiter the land. Perhaps we should call them scouts. We're more like scouts, just going to take a look and see what was there. Moses instructs them, let me know if the cities are walled and fortified or open. If the people, how are the people? What's the land like? Is it going to support us? Will we be able to make a living there? The kinds of questions anybody asks whenever they move to a new place. And so the spies do. The scouts go out, reconnoiter the land, and bring back their report. Of course, when you deal with human beings, it's not as simple as that. 10 of them decided to exaggerate the negatives of the land that they were going to. 2 of them decided to tell the truth. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but with optimism, with hope, with perseverance, we can succeed. Moses had the benefit of being able to send out scouts to tell him what was in store. My grandmother had the ability to start her mystery novels at the end. We, unfortunately, have to face life as it comes to us. We'd love to be able to flip ahead at least a week or two just to see what the governor's going to announce for California. Will we be able to set aside our masks, our barriers, our distances? We'd like to flip ahead and to see what becomes of this pandemic. Is it really going to be over with? November, are we going to have to deal with this again? Will we have to get booster shots for those of us who are being vaccinated? We would love to be able to flip ahead a few pages. We don't have that luxury. There is no time travel. But we can look to our tradition and find ways to not foretell the future, but rather to find strength for this present moment. We live in incredible luxury and in incredible comfort and incredible security. Here, this pandemic, once our medical skills got geared up, we were able to vaccinate, to minimize our risk. That didn't happen previously. That was not something that was available to those dealing with any of the prior pandemics. They just had to wait for it to run its course, bury their dead, and try to get back to living. With our medical technology, we have been able to afford us a higher degree of security and safety. That's absolutely amazing. If we could go back in time and tell people what we could do, this would be nothing short of magic. We know it's not magic. And yet those who faced pandemics, difficulties, kings riding in to drag off their menfolk to war, who faced tremendous uncertainty, found a way to hold on to their optimism, to their hope. They did not become victims of cynicism. They did not lose sight of a better tomorrow. And I think that's what we need to reconnect with. There will always be challenges. Life is always filled with challenges. There will be pain. There always has been. It's what we do with that pain. It's what we do with that uncertainty that matters. May we find the strength and the courage to hold on to hope. That's how we are going to get through this. That's how we are going to be able to emerge and get back to the life and to living. Hope and perseverance. That's what our ancestors did. As the children of Israel decided to move forward and enter into the promised land, with Joshua in the lead, it was not an easy road. They did not give up on tomorrow. They did not lose sight of their hope. May this Shabbat fill us with hope and with perseverance. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And what better way to acknowledge that hope and perseverance than by acknowledging those who are celebrating happy events during the month of June. We should rejoice. We should celebrate in that we do. Those who are celebrating birthdays and anniversaries. For those of you who are here with us, if you are celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, let's start first with our anniversaries. I invite you to rise in your place as you are able. For those who are celebrating anniversaries this month, we want to acknowledge here with us this evening, Dina, and I'm assuming Chris Jastrock. He's home with Fritz. He's taking care of the dog. And Gail and Ellis Porter. Excellent. Mazel tov to you both. We also want to acknowledge Stan and Phyllis Nathanson, Barry and Sandy Lakin, Derek and Kimberly Johnson, Eddie and Celia Goldstein, Jeff and Sandy Strauss, Fred and Ruth Malkin, Tim and Lori Rosenfeld, Alex and Chrissy Horowitz, Harold and Helen Cohen. Wonderful. Mazel tov to you all on anniversaries in this month of June. June brides here with us to this day. And birthdays being celebrated this month. If you are celebrating a birthday this month, the month of June, I invite you to rise for a moment in your place. Here so that we might acknowledge you, Leslie Berger. And of course, Miriam Brookfield, we have honored and recognized previously. In addition, we wish to acknowledge Leah Milhander, Lila Mayernick, Nathaniel Mayton, Leslie Berger, Sharon Kravitz, Lillian Mignella, Miriam Brookfield, Ricky Seen, Gilbert Delgado, Dottie Roth, Karen Katz, Eliana Zwern, Leonard Nolte, Toby Porter, Maxine Gimbel, Lauren Greenbaum, Melissa Rudolph, Terry Levoot, Iris Tessler, Tom White, Deborah Zlotnick, Timothy Green, James Greenspan, Samantha Kotkin, Cheryl Maradiegi, Rebecca Mayernick, and Jaden Johnson. Lots of birthdays in the month of June, too. Excellent. Well done to all of you. To those of you who are burning a mortgage, sending in that final car payment, paying off a student loan, whatever happy event you are celebrating this month, we join with our Cantor in the words of our Shehechianu, our prayer of gratitude, our prayer acknowledging life that God has given us, sustained us, and enabled us to reach these wonderful occasions. The words of our Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Mazel tov to all of our anniversaries and our birthdays, and Admea V'Esrim. For those of you celebrating birthdays and anniversaries, why not, till 120. Our service continues with the words of the Aleinu. The adoration can be found on page 283 in our prayer books, as I invite us to rise as we are able. Let us now praise the Sovereign of the universe and proclaim the greatness of the Creator. His unity we are charged to declare, whose realm it is our purpose to uphold. Therefore we bow in awe and thanksgiving before the one who is sovereign over all the holy and the blessed one.
מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live on in our hearts and our memories, and in the place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. The words to our Kaddish can be found on page 294 in your prayer books. As we call to mind one for whom we are observing the Shloshim, the 30 days since her death, and Phillips, the half-sister of Joanne Kotkin. To her name, we link the names of those whose yahrzeits have occurred during this past week. Richard A. Krug, May L. Miller, Rebecca Schreier, Hilda Landau Sanders, Rena Joy Pakula Klein, Maurice Rosenfeld, Rose Solomon, Irving Drobny, Abraham Alberts, Benjamin Levinson, Al Tobin, Nancy Zinberg, Julie Morgan, Dick Goodman, Saul Young, Minnie Orlovich, Ruth Becker, Renee Scharf, Golda Schwartz, Lawrence Ivan Ganson, Minnie Klevansky, Francis Gordon, and William Babroff. To those names, we link the names of those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Cleavon Steve Dyson, Harry Bass, Martha Manriquez, Enid Malkin, Phyllis Ryback Diamond, Marvin First, Robert Weber, Marvin J. Gilman, Elvia Amirez, Marlene Bielsma, Bernard Haber, Sam Ursus, Rosalie McKenzie, Hal Bruce, Hamleben Jr., Joseph Rofe, Mildred Sane, Harold Weber, Karen Copeland, Rita Silverman, Sandra Pascas, Marlene Engel, Leslie Pascas Amador, Edith Zaro, Concha Chavez, John Young, Gerald Kotkin, Ross B. Shear, Jenna Gordon, Doug Austin, Edith Chess, and Berta Ursus. If there's a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time. To those that we have named aloud and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories, we link as well the over 590,000 Americans who have died from COVID-19, the 756 Americans who died this past week due to gun violence. We add to their names as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who've given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who've given their lives for our safety here at home, members of our police, our firefighters and other first responders, members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. Zichronam levracha. May their memories always be for a blessing. As we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba. Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
May all of us who mourn, and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's eternal presence a source of strength, courage, and hope, above all a source of shalom, of peace. And let us all say, Amen. We conclude our service this evening with a song that brings together two of the most powerful words, three, actually, I guess if we take all three of the most powerful words. In English, peace. In Hebrew, shalom. In Arabic, salam. O Javo shalom aleinu. There will yet be peace for us and for all the world.
Od Yavo shalom aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo shalom aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Salam, salam, aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od Yavo shalom aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo shalom aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu, Od Yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, 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 salam. salam, salam. Orevo shalom aleinu, Orevo shalom aleinu, Orevo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Orevo shalom aleinu, Orevo shalom aleinu, Orevo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Orevo shalom aleinu, Orevo shalom aleinu, Orevo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I invite you to turn in your prayer books to page 5 if you would like to follow along with the words while the Cantor leads us in Kiddush. And remember, as you go out, be sure to pick up your bag. Thank you, Miriam, and enjoy the juice on the way home. You know what you get when you squeeze a temple, Cantor?
Oh,
Juice.
yeah. I already heard it in my...
With the words of our Kiddush, we acknowledge the joy and the sweetness of the Shabbat that we are entering. May it be indeed a Shabbat of peace for us all.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher k'ishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereishit, yom tefilah lemikrahei kodesh, sefer yitziat mitzrayim. Anu v'acharta, utanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, Shabbat kodecha, be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchalchan. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashtabat. Amen. Chaim.
L'chaim. L'chaim Chazan. L'chaim Rei. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom. The what? Yes. Well, no. Well, yes. Oh, you do? Would you like that?